How's it going, guys? Real quick, I totally did not capture my webcam this time. I chalk it up to a really long week, the fact that I might be a little bit sick, the fact that I'm really tired. I goofed. It happens occasionally. I just didn't hit the button. I got the audio's great, the content's fantastic. It just won't have me in the window in the corner anymore. Some might see that as an improvement, but just so you know, don't expect to see it there. It's unfortunate because I do so much like gesturing and looking into the camera, and I feel like I lose a lot of connection when that happens. But I hope you still enjoy the content. It's a really good part. So stick around, and thank you again. I apologize, but you know, it happens, right? Anyway, on with the show. How's it going, guys? Well, welcome back to TheBlueShifting and welcome back to Muv-Luv Monday. Last time we were in Photonflowers, we did the entire story of Rain Dancers, which I was really lucky. I was this close to pausing it, but I just had to keep going, and it turned out that there was only 10 minutes left, so good thing I stopped. But now we're moving on to some of the other ones, Confessions. Now, I think someone said that this one's supposed to be one of the longer ones of this pack, so sad, but like we're really starting to wind down. We might be done with Photonflowers before I know it. But that's okay. We have something delicious to flow right into afterwards, Photon Melodies. So, I mean, I'm just excited. But doesn't really matter because we're going to jump into Confessions today. So Confessions, taking place between Atonement and Inheritance. This side story follows a younger Captain Isumi as she suffers through Sergeant Jinguji's boot camp from hell, learning more than a few things about herself in the process. Ooh, Captain Isumi. She's one of my favorite characters from Alternative. Another person I'm going to be very excited to learn more about. I think she was one of the It's weird because I feel like some of the best tips about being a leader, whether it be like a boss, a manager, or anything, I've found in fiction. Captain Isumi is, I think, one of the most perfectly depicted leaders because she's tough, she's determined to like help you be the best you can be. She's very human, but she's also like willing to like put aside her own emotions for the greater cause. She knows and understands the difference between like throwing your life away fruitlessly and also knowing when it's time to like offer yourself up. She made the ultimate sacrifice by making it when it needed to be done and the right call. And just in general, she's just a fantastic character. One of the best developed characters, I think, in Alternative. So I'm gonna be excited. I'm excited to learn more about her and how now that we've seen Atonement and her crazy time in school, and we've seen her train Takeru and the other the girls of Muv-Luv Alternative, I'm curious to see if it was very different from her Captain Isumi when she was going through the same program only a few years before them. So let's just jump right into it, shall we? Oh yeah, it does the same intro every time. There, that's some good cover art right there. Gosh, she's awesome. She's also cute. They're all cute, but Asumi's probably on the tier. Maybe I should do a tier list. I see all kinds of people doing tier lists all the time. Maybe I should do tier lists for some of the top characters in the visual novels we've covered. Would you guys like that? Let me know. That'd be something kind of fun. Maybe that's something I can do for the next April Fools, or maybe I can do it for like the channel anniversary, which would be sometime in January, I think, usually. Yeah, we could do something like that sometime. Let me know what you think about that. But we'll just jump into this right now. Oh, the art is so good. December 25th, 2001. Christmas. Yeah, I remember this day. I recorded the episode we had this on for and published it on Christmas Day, the year that we recorded this. Was that last year? God, it feels like... No, I don't think it was last year. I think it must have been the year before that. My gosh, the timing was perfect. There it is. The Susano sitting on the ground, helpless because of Takeru's stupid brain. Oh, there she is. This is like the thumbnail of that episode too, right here. Oh, she had knocked my water over, sorry. Literally, I just put the cap back on it after having a drink, being like, I don't want to knock it over and spill everything all over my computer. Good thing, too, because that took me 5 minutes. Curse my hand. Alright, that's good, but not at the same time.
ヘッドクォーター了解。データリンクの誤差なしを認む。任務を継続せよ。
Look at that, there's the Sea Beta.
バルキリー1了解。全軍の安全圏退避完了まで。
The timer's ticking down steadily. So far, no sign of trouble. Everything seems to be going smoothly. Nevertheless, there's a number of things that could go wrong at the last minute. I might have manual control, but that doesn't mean I can afford to relax. Given what's at stake, it's better to be safe than sorry.
最後ぐらいあんたのいとこ見せなきゃね。
Yeah. Or maybe not. I forgot, this operation isn't one for the books. Whatever, makes no difference. Something so trivial wouldn't bother her. If anything unexpected happens, she's the one who will have to deal with the fallout. This will all be over in a matter of minutes. A rampaging gravity deviation will distort the space around me. That's how my story is going to end. My spirit will return to nothingness, and my body will become part of the universe. It sounds so dead to some, but for me, that's beautiful. That's kind of what I think about for me. I mean, I always grew up with this idea of being buried as a thing, but as I've gotten older and everything, like, I've kind of stepped away from that. Like, even if I can afford it, which frankly seems like a luxury and a kind of a waste in my opinion, which is why I've decided I want to be cremated, because I don't want to deal with the hassle. Maybe if my family wants to, we can make like a memorial plaque that we put like as a place to remember me by. Maybe that's where we spread the ashes, or perhaps we just maybe I can maybe make a donation and put like a nice bench somewhere or something, because then at least I'm doing something with a memorial in my name. But most importantly, I kind of just want to go back to being a part of the universe, because the fact that it's all like part of this giant cycle is really, really pretty, and that like someday that our star will likely explode, scatter the dust of everything and all of our history and the planet that we sit on into the great expanse, and that someday that will get coalesced likely again around another star and begin its cycle all over. Probably not as anything living, but as part of the universe. You know, there's something really pretty about that. And yet I feel surprisingly calm. Or perhaps I'm saying dumbfounded would be more accurate. Every time I've been on the battlefield, I've faced the prospect of my death. Never in a million years would I have imagined it would be so peaceful. Aww. Because of me, many of my subordinates have died. Others have suffered critical injury. I have traded the lives of so many good people in order to accomplish my mission, and with my final task, I'm going to take even more. I expected my death to be cruel and gruesome. I never believed it could be any other way. After all I've done, it's the least I deserve. Dang. What a mindset to have, huh? I never thought I could be granted such a meaningful death.
決して犬死にするな。
Make your death count. It's too faded out, but that's a cool picture. Achieve your mission with all your might. Despair not till your last breath. Make your death count. These are the words my former instructor, Jinguji Marimo, drilled into my body and soul. She was an outstanding officer and a woman of unquestionable integrity. It was her grisly end that fully convinced me I would suffer a similar fate. With no regard for her personal merits, the gods gave her a death devoid of all meaning. I thought that surely I would suffer a similar end. Her death was proof enough that their ways are obscure, cold-blooded, and merciless. But I know better now. Though it appeared meaningless at the time, Instructor Jinguji's death was the catalyst for crucial developments. It was through her passing that Shirogane Takeru, a man who very well may be the key to humanity's survival, was able to live. Honestly, I have no choice but to admit I was mistaken. There's nothing I can do, nothing but to recognize that the gods act in mysterious ways. And I have no choice but to be thankful. Even someone like me, who made light of them, is grateful for their act of mercy, for this meaningful death I'm about to be granted.
身勝手だな、私も。普段神など信じていないのに。
And there's a saying, there are no atheists in foxholes. I'm not entirely sure I believe that, but I think that a lot of people, and maybe it's also just age talking. I'm not even that old, honestly. I'm not old at all, but I'm old enough to recognize the change I've went through from like being terrified of eventually dying and growing old to being kind of accepting of that, of understanding and content with that idea that someday it's all over for me. You know, whatever lies beyond, it doesn't matter. And as long as I've lived a good life and done things I can be proud of, I can be happy as I face my darkness too. Whatever, I've always been selfish. This is just like me.
父さん母さんごめん
I don't want to apologize for leaving you before my time. I made up my mind a long time ago. I've been prepared to die all along. But you will never know the truth. Having to die lying to you hurts me deeply. Dad, Mom, I'm sorry for what I put you through. Oh man.
父さんと母さんを頼むわよ
Is that the main protagonist of her story? And is he the one that was like the student that transferred out of the class before, like in extra? I can't remember any of that stuff. But that the girl on the right side of the tree definitely looks like Isumi, so I'm guessing that's her. And her two sisters, right? Dang. Or is that Isumi right there? Akira. That's correct. I knew someone growing up named Akira. You have to survive. Our parents couldn't bear losing two of their daughters on the same day. And that wouldn't be fair to force Marika and Yaroi to look after them on their own. That would be far too cruel. That's right, she was on the battlefield. That's right, though. The last story in here, I think that I remember reading, we follow her. I forgot that she was on the island for this whole thing too, though. Dang. You have to survive, Akira, no matter what it takes. I know you will make it back to the ship. I believe in you. Marika, no matter where, no matter what happens, you and I, we're family. So please, stand with your head held high, but learn to depend a little bit more on the rest of us. Well, it's not like I'm one to talk. Can't say I've ever been much of a role model in that regard, anyway. But it looks like I can finally do something for her in my last moments. Now, in this storyline, were they saying that the canon was that the guy that all three of them were in love with ended up falling for her? No, that's not right. I have to believe all my efforts today have kept them away from the Reaper. I need to believe. Isn't this what I've been fighting for all along? And once this battle's over, Marika, don't run away from Akira and Yayoi. That's a weird name. I'm sorry, I can't. That's a weird one. You need to settle things fair and square. Yeah, that's him. Don't run away like I did, you hear me? Yayoi. I never could bring myself to see eye to eye with you, and for that I'm sorry. The way you could do anything you put your mind to effortlessly, the way you were the cause of my inferiority complex. Oh, excuse me. That's why I put a wall between. I can't stop yawning. That's why I put a wall between us. So how could I preserve the meager sense of pride? Oh, how petty I was. Yet despite me being so self-centered, you were always kind and gentle. I lost count of the times you stretched out your hands to me. But I don't care. I kept rejecting you. Because I didn't want you to steal Masaki, that's his name, Masaki, from me. I felt that if he gave me an inch, he would choose you without a second thought.
最悪だわ
Yeah.
まさか死に際に過去の愚かな自分に身もだえする羽目になるなんて
I mean, how could you not, though?
いやこれは罰かも
The music's so freaking good here, too.
なるほど意味のある死を授かった対価ということか
I'm sorry, Yoroi. All I did was ever run away, trying desperately to escape from your shadow. I kept trying to be the best at everything behind your back, anything to make it feel like I was surpass you in some way. Never said anything, how could I? Instead, I was always hostile to you, and I thought I was justified. Now I just wish we could have supported each other instead. What a smile. He just looks like a punk. Oh man. Should have been more honest with myself. Should have told him. I'm an idiot, I really am. Should have been obvious since this day would come eventually. I should have left my affairs in order. But running away from reality is what you always have done. Running away from Yaroi, running away from my sisters, even running away from facing myself. And running away from Masaki. Because I told myself he was a distraction. What a pathetic excuse.
そりゃボコボコにもされるわね。
Yeah. I joined the army because I was running away, not because of Yaroi. And despite that, I wanted her to believe it was her fault. I refused to go into politics, although that was supposed to be my path. In the end, it was for the best. Even so, that deception is not something I can be proud of.
Huh?
Is this when Takeru calls her? Ah.
Isumi, エコー艦隊は安全圏まで退避できたわ。
Yeah.
ウイスキー艦隊もあと十数分で退避できる。準備にかかってちょうだい。
了解。
と言っても、特にやることはないわね。
Still.
そうですね。あとは減速剤をすべて投棄するだけですから。
人生最後の十数分。お邪魔じゃなければ部下との交信を許可するわ。
This can't be right. Isn't this operation supposed to be strictly classified?
任務の性格上、それ以外には繋いであげられないんだけど。
Right.
ですが、そのような私的な更新は。
小沢提督をはじめ、帝国側の指揮官たちから、せめて部下との交信をって強い要請があってね。
Oh yeah, and Yuko, leaving out the fact that you were the one making sure that happened.
帝国軍が。
このクソ忙しい中、早瀬たちがいる国先とこの最上に有線の秘匿回線を引いてくれたのよ。
That's so awesome.
あんたたちが周囲を気にせず、心置きなく話せるようにね。
Why? It's chaos out there, but they went the far for my sake? That doesn't make sense. No, it makes tons of sense. You're literally saving them in this mission.
軍人として、日本人として、人類の一員として、ささやかながら、あんたにお礼がしたいって。
It makes so much sense. You know, it's one of my favorite things. One of my favorite books is The Martian. And I love it because, like, it captures this idea of, like, the extreme measures that they take to try and rescue the fictional stranded astronaut Mark Watney. But the way it was written, the way it was researched, and also just the way the people behave in the story is so believable. I absolutely believe that the military would go out of their way to do something like this for Captain Isumi. I mean, she's literally going to, like, save the island and, like, guaranteeing voluntarily doing it at her own, like, dooming herself in the process. Totally makes sense. It's incredibly rare to get an exception like this. If I had to guess, I would say the captains didn't ask the upper brass for permission. The field commanders are doing this of their own volition. Yeah, that's probably true.
そのような厚遇は身に過ぎます。
Oh, take it. Just take it. It's the truth. I don't deserve this.
向こうが勝手に準備したんだから、ありがたく受けておきなさい。あ、そうそう。もう一つあったわ。
何でしょう。
帝国陸軍第133連隊所属、泉明少尉の生還を認む。なお、負傷なし。だそうよ。
That alone would be so nice to hear in your last moments. Aww.
そうですか。
Akira is alive. She survived.
ありがとうございます。
私に言われてもね。
このような緊急時にもかかわらず、もろもろ手を尽くしてくださった方々に。
Yeah.
わかったわ。じゃあ、つなぐわよ。
副司令。
何？
I won't get another chance. Guess there's no harm in breaking military discipline one last time.
お世話になりました。 長いようで短かった2年でした。
Yeah.
副司令のもと人類の未来に貢献するという栄誉ある任務に従事させていただいたことに感謝します。
やめてよ、そういうの。
Yeah, I know, right?
ともすれば凡庸に終わったであろう私の人生に特別な意味と価値を与えていただきました。
決して人様には自慢できない意味と価値だけど。
第4計画の完遂と人類の勝利をこの目で見届けられないことは心残りですが、一足お先に行ってまいります。
私が行くのは地獄だから二度と会うこともないわね。マリモによろしく。
Oh, fetch, man. No! This game's gonna make me cry again.
申し訳ありませんが、そのことづてはお引き受けできませんね。私の
それじゃあ
Dang it,
私が
no!
行ったら道案内頼むわ。どうせ最下層なんだし、めんどくさい手続きはごめんだからね。
Ninth circle for traitors. It's where Judas is being forever devoured by a demon. I'll tell you, that was a trippy book to read, Dante's Inferno. That book is strange.
わかりました。閻魔や鬼どもは蹴散らしておきます。
Yeah, with you down there, especially if you somehow can get your hands on some kind of demonic TSF, they won't stand a chance. Oh, I don't know anyone as generous or kind as you. You're strong yet fragile at the same time. I was hearing voices. There's like communication in the background. And I'm just like, was listening to it. I think it's like she's talking to Takeru right now or something. The way you and instructor Junguji strive towards your goals, never surrendering, never compromising, you both became my role models. I lived all my life in Yaroi's shadow, unable to surpass her, until you finally showed me the way. Thank you, and forgive me. I know Instructor Junguji was your most treasured friend. I owe her so much. Yet when it mattered the most, I couldn't do anything for her. I couldn't even leave her body behind.
あんた、マリモに鍛えられたんじゃなかったの？あいつに一体何を教わったっていうのかしらね。
I feel like her hair is different here. I thought this might be a past version of her, but this looks like a post-Marimo death, so I'm guessing they just had someone redo the art, and maybe it was just a different artist. I kind of like it though. Like, I think this look really fits her well. Maybe it's the eyes. I think the eyes aren't as like big. You're acting as though nothing's wrong. You won't accept anyone's blame or apologies, yet I know deep down you're torturing yourself for what's about to happen. I don't want anyone's sympathy. You don't want to be loved. You don't want them to understand. All you want is a world where humanity can survive. No matter what anyone says, having been a part of your project is what I am most proud of. Goodbye, Exo Kyozuki. You made my life worth living.
Tai, Shirogane desu.
It is weird seeing his face. Gosh.
白金、00ユニットは無事らしいな。よくやったぞ。
ありがとうございます。そっちは大丈夫ですか？
ああ、周囲のベータのことか。手記に火を入れたからな。ラザフォードフィールドが守ってくれている。さすがに機体を動かしたら、私もただでは済まないがな。
Yeah.
そうですね。妹さん、無事でよかったですね。
ありがとう。だが、副司令の取り計らい、多少気が引けるのは確かだ。
No, it's fine.
優子先生のって、それは帝国側が。
That's awesome.
まったく。貴様ももう少し広い視野で状況判断ができるようになるといいんだがな。
すみません。
A01 部隊の性格上、副司令が私の素性を明かさなければ、帝国側も妹の紹介などできるわけないだろう。
It can be hard to forget, or easy to forget that they are pretty much blacklisted. No one knows they exist. That's the kind of person XO is, I guess. You better watch out.
柏木をはじめ、 多くの将兵が命を落としている中、私だけが厚遇されることは周囲の者たちの心情を考えると。
That's right, Kashiwagi. She fell to the... Wasn't to the fortress class with the stinger that came out of like nowhere? Fetch. And she had a burned out leg jet anyway, so she wasn't gonna get out until she stayed behind to cover their escape.
副司令は周囲に配慮し、また私の心情も汲んだ上でああいう言い方をされたんだろう。
そうだったんですか。
あの人は計画や研究に関しての機密保持は徹底しているが、自身の人間味ある部分を隠すことには不慣れらしいな。
Yeah, it's true.
そうですね。結局大尉にはバレてますからね。そっち方面は不器用っていうか苦手なんでしょうね。
そんな副司令の配慮も帝国軍の思いやりも、本音を言えばとても嬉しい。だが
Gosh darn it.
それは私の身に過ぎる。
でもそれは大尉が人類のために戦ってきたことを先生が知っているから。帝国軍だって多くの命を大尉が救うから、それを。
Please don't, Shogane. Do not turn my death into a grand sacrifice. You will never become who you're meant to be if you rely on others too much. Learn to depend on yourself.
何人もの部下を殺し、多くの人の死に関わってきた私には、このような死に場所を与えられただけでも十分なんだ。
そんな、大尉は立派じゃないですか。自分の命と引き換えに多くの人たちを救うじゃないですか。
違うんだ、白金。私の本音は貴様が思っているほどご立派なものじゃないんだ。
え？
今私が一番強く思っていることは、結果的に救うことになった多くの命のことでも、人類の未来でもない。
It'd be weird if they were. We can fight and believe and like serve for high causes. I mean, that's something that was covered in Alternative, if I remember correctly, so well. We can fight for those causes, but when the push comes to shove, we don't see a faceless mob of people whom we're striving and fighting for. We see those whom we care the most about and how we've treated them. And those are those thoughts that are going to pass through our minds, which is so ironic because sometimes like you can't stand the people who you're closest to, family or otherwise, but yet they're going to be the ones that are going to make that impact because that's just who we are as people.
大尉。
まして柏木のことでも、今までに失った部下たちのことでも、私が捕獲したベータのせいで命を奪われた基地の人間や神宮寺軍曹のことでもない。妹が助かったこと、そして両親や姉妹たちに、あの男にもう二度と会えないということ。私は今そんな自分の身の回りのことばかりを考えているんだ。
I don't need to worry about appearances anymore. The truth is all that matters. I was thinking about my family before the XO put Shirogane through, about my family and Masaki. Shirogane is vital to humanity's counteroffensive. I have to sort out his feelings. I can't burden him with any lingering regrets. This is something I need to do to stop him from depending on me too much once and for all. If I shatter any illusion he has about me, then so be it.
それのどこがいけないんですか。
白金。
大尉はオルタネイティブ計画のためにずっと自分の手を汚してきたじゃないですか。人類のためだろうが、戦友のためだろうが、家族のためだろうが、柏木だってそうやって生きて戦って死んでいったんです。神宮寺軍曹だって自分の使命を最後まで全うして、俺たちの心にいろんなもの、結果的でも何でも大尉のおかげで多くの命が救われるのは事実じゃないですか。最後の数分に心の中で家族や恋人のことを考えるのは そんなに悪いことですか？
Nothing.
俺は誰が何て言おうと大尉を尊敬します。大尉の行いは立派だと思います。
You're really kind. But that doesn't make you but that doesn't make you weak, Shirogane. It's what defines you. Exactly what you would expect from someone XO Kyozuki favors. Now I realize I've been unable to measure up to you since the very beginning. I could never be like you. I wish I could have been this honest with Instructor Jinguji.
白金、
はい。
部隊の連中を頼んだぞ。貴様の強さをみんなにも分けてやってくれ。
俺は全然強くなんかありませんよ。
白金、貴様は十分強い。
That's such a good answer. You're strong enough. Like, you don't have to be the strongest. You don't even have to be close to perfect. You're enough. You're enough.
そんなことないです。
貴様の戦う理由がどこか達観しているわけが、貴様が特別なのだと感じるわけが、今日はっきり分かった。
え
00ユニットの被験者は貴様の恋人なんだろう。
Phew.
大尉、知っていたんですか？
いや、貴様が名を呼んで彼女を抱き起こした時に分かった。スミカという名は昨日聞いていたからな。
Right.
貴様と彼女に降りかかったであろう悲劇と心の傷の深さは想像を絶する。00ユニットの真実を知りながら第4計画の中枢任務をこなすなど、私には絶対に耐えられないだろう。
I don't know, though. You had to.
訓練部隊編入から今日に至るまでの貴様の働きを思い返すと、貴様の強さを知ると同時に自分の
I enlisted to escape reality. I never could be like him.
違います。多分大尉が考えているようなことじゃ。
It's kind of true. He didn't quite volunteer for what he's doing.
多少の違いなど問題じゃない。彼女に対する貴様の態度を見ればわかる。私はこの手の話の読みを外したことはないんだ。特に幼馴染狙い同士じゃないか。
はい。
貴様がたまに見せる甘さというか独特の優しさは、私が今までに出会った誰もが持っていないものだ。
Oh, you should have seen him before.
それだけの悲劇を体験しながらそういう優しさを失っていない貴様は強いと思う。
え、
ある意味余裕があるというのか、私のような人間にはそれが羨ましい。
Mm.
そして英士としての申し分ない才能も持ち合わせている。もしかしたら貴様は人類の救世主なのかもしれないな。
Dang.
俺が救世主ですか？
今日の戦闘での貴様はとても新任とは思えなかったぞ。
Yeah. Those video games trained him well. After seeing him today, I understand. He's fundamentally different from me. This man was scouted by Exo Kyozuki and trained by Instructor Jinguji. He's worthy of our trust.
それは大尉のおかげじゃないですか。催眠療法に頼らなきゃまともに戦えない救世主なんて情けないんですけど。
安心しろ。貴様はそれを自分で克服したんだ。
え？
あの時貴様が受けたのは特殊な効果は何もない、ただの安静プログラムだ。
Dang.
え？じゃあ始まる前に大尉と催眠療法の先生が長々と話していたのは。
そうだ。先生に一芝居打ってもらうようお願いしていたんだ。
What a dirty trick.
大尉、
この作戦が終わったら種明かしをするつもりだったが、伝えられてよかった。これで文字通り貴様にはもう怖いものはなくなったはずだ。
はい。ありがとうございました。
Yeah. Well, he sure is acting meek, taking everything I say at face value. Thank goodness that at the very end I could play the part of a superior officer.
さて、長くなってしまったな。みんなにもお別れをさせてもらおう。
タイ、お世話になりました。
He's crying for me. He really is kind.
泣くな。男だろ。
Manly tears are okay.
すみません。俺はもっとタイにいろんなことを教えてもらいたかったのに。
Takeru, come on, you blubbering mess.
私も多くの先達と同じく基地に咲く桜となって貴様たちを見守る。
タイ、
何かあったら桜並木に会いに来い。
はい。
人類を頼んだぞ。
Can you?
必ず俺が必ず守ります。
さらばだ、白金。
さようなら、タイ。
Shogane, you better take good care of her. I hope you two can find happiness.
まだまだ甘いな。
I'm not sure I said the right things. I tried to appear as businesslike as this XO, but maybe I should have given him more practical advice? From this day onwards, you'll have to bear the weight of the world, and I wonder, Instructor Jinguji, what would you have done? What would have been your parting words? Oh, dang, okay. Oh my gosh, 1996, Yokohama. It's funny to hear her talking like her old instructors did. War has been my constant companion, the one thing that has not changed once throughout my entire life. Humanity has been under siege by the Beta for decades, and Japan is on the front lines of the fight, one that has long since been doomed to fall. God, look at that. Oh look, so they did make it into Africa. Crap. Yeah, because like, remember in Rain Dancers, they had the Sicily, or what is it, like the tip of the boot off Italy. They had control of that, and they had access to this waterways through the canal. They held the Beta off, but I guess in the year, like shortly after that, it sounds like, because I thought that took place in like 1995, they lost it, which means they lost that channel. Unless they're counting it as like humans can't live there, so they just have military bases. But that's not what I'm seeing here. So that domino effect was already set in stone. Fetch, yeah, the world was really... No wonder they were in the alternative programs. They were seeing the future, that there was no chance, really. I mean, not for this continent. And who knows how much longer it was going to take before, like, hives tended to drop again on the American continent. And once, like, if they got hit too many times, there'd be nothing left. Sorry, I'm getting distracted by the depictions here. After the arrival in Kashgar, the Beta continued to expand from Central Asia to Europe, while also closing in on India and ultimately overrunning the place. From that point on, humanity kept losing ground and was forced to start pulling back from East Asia. The Imperial Diet wanted to prevent the Beta from landing on our mainland at all costs. That's why they erased restrictions on the draft and gained additional forces that could be dispatched to the continent to keep the aliens at bay. TSFs are our main weapon on the front lines. As such, It was the natural course of action to increase the number of available surface pilots. From that point on, news of mankind's struggle against the alien invaders quickly became a part of our daily lives. Thanks to the economic stimulus provided by the increase in demand for supplies, the Japanese economy was booming. As a result, the ravages of war seemed like nothing but fiction to most of us. Dang, could you imagine that? Like that much of a horrible, like, craziness is happening in the world, but like you could actually feel sheltered from it? I mean, that kind of happens nowadays, but this is on a whole nother level. It was spring in 1996, the day I first crossed the gates into the 207th Surface Pilot Training Academy as a cadet of the Imperial Army. Society was suffering a slow death. In an act of willful ignorance, we carried on with our daily lives as if nothing went wrong. But I couldn't stand the hypocrisy any longer. That's why I enlisted. That, and to escape from my big sister's influence. My assignment to a local training academy came as a slight disappointment. I wanted to be as far away from Yayoi as I possibly could. She's a bureaucrat of the Imperial Home Ministry, which meant that we remained close to each other. As for me and the rest of the cadets, there was a certain someone waiting for us, the legendary surface pilot who was named after the Pale Rider, Death. Xia. Morimou-chan. Freaking awesome. She's so freaking cool. Like Amazon, woman of the century. Jinguji Marimo. Going by that charming name alone, it was hard to imagine the woman was a battle-hardened military veteran. Be that as it may, she is a remarkable pilot with an unblemished service record, one who survived through the nightmare that was Operation 9-6 and got promoted to the Fuji Training Corps under exceptional circumstances at the age of 19. She is widely regarded as the best pilot in Hakuryo Base, as assessment even headquarters seems to share. And her reputation is that of a ruthless taskmaster, the kind of woman who makes her cadets' training feel like hell on earth while relishing in the hatred she receives in return. Oh wow. Is that a young Isumi? Dang.
三浦、貴様何をしてるか。誰が寝そべっていいと言った。走れない奴は戦場で死ぬ。貴様死にたいのか。それとも走るのが嫌だから死にたいのか。
And that is the perfect summary of why I would die in a battlefield practically instantly. Did I tell you guys? I told you about that, right? Like, I tried to start running and I literally almost keeled over and died. My asthma's gotten so bad.
さて、死ぬまで走らんかバカ者。
I guess she sounds like me.
走れ三浦、心臓が破裂するまで走ってみせろ。走れ。
They have to break you, though. They have to. It's been 2 weeks since we passed the comprehensive combat skill evaluation. Oh, wait, CCSE. Oh, they already did that. Fetch. And started TSF training. At this point, drills from basics should be a thing of the past. And yet, they're still making us run. A couple of years back, it used to take 4 years to train surface pilots. Nowadays, the course only lasted for a year. Considering how the war is unfolding, time is a luxury we can no longer afford. The new accelerated curriculum is the direct result of our dire war situation. Physical training hours should have been reduced as we advanced through the program. Instead, they are now adding on top of TSF training. As a result, we do several kilometers every session. Running 10 clicks a day is nothing out of the ordinary. Oh, I want to die and I'm not even moving. The instructors never tell us how many kilometers we'll have to cover. They just order us to run and to keep running until they say it's been enough. The training regime is harsh, even for us who completed basic, not physically but mentally. Now that there's no finish line in sight, training has become much more stressful. You could say that in a sense, this is giving us an idea of what actual combat is like. On the battlefield, there's no set stopping point. The closest thing to an end goal would be the eradication of Beta from this planet, and that does not provide much guidance on a single combat encounter.
よかったじゃない分隊長殿。
Uh-oh. There's some tension in the groups.
その子に感謝するんだな。今日もその子のおかげで
んたがいびられずに済んだじゃん。
黙って走りなさい。ねえ、つけられるわよ。
Isumi, young Isumi. It's so weird seeing these characters, and yet, like, almost they look so different, and yet I can totally recognize them. Well, at least her. I don't know who these people are.
了解。
いすみ、藤沢、貴様らずいぶん余裕があるじゃないか。
Wait, Fujisawa? Fujisawa, like, she's in there. Yeah, okay, I think I remember her. Fujisawa. She looks way different now, though.
どうやらこの程度じゃ気合が入らないようだな。喜べクソども、いすみのおかげで5周追加だ。
Lovely.
ほら急げ。それともたった2キロじゃ不満か。
了解。
Okay. 5 extra laps, just wonderful. The instructor didn't tell us how many laps we'd have to run in the first place, but adding even more running on top of nothing short of torture.
最下位のクソ分隊には追加で3周だ。こっちは藤沢のおごりだ。気合い入れて走れよ。
Oh.
了解。
どのみちあたしら狙い撃ちじ
これないわね。
ゃん。その子といじめ対象のいすみがいるんじゃ。出来レースみたいなもんよ。ねえ、竹宮。
あんた、ほんと根性あるね。
Yeah. Guts, the way I see it, Fujisawa's complaining is something of a knee-jerk reaction for her.
あんた、涼しい顔して、よく走るよ。
悪いけど、鍛え方が違うからね。
Ow, fetch.
たく、インターハイの女王は言うことが違うわ。だったら得意の一本背負いであの死神をぶん投げてくれりゃい。
おい貴様ら。
Uh-oh.
仲良くピクニックか。ペースを上げろおかま野郎。佐久間、狩野、舐めるのはお互いのスティックだけにしとけ。はい、教官殿。
Ah, hello.
てめえのせいだと思っちま。俺のケツにへばりつけんじゃねえ。
Oh, they're just all we're all happy together, having fun, trying not to die or want to kill each other.
だったら実力で引き離してみろ。まあお得意の不正ができない状況では絶対に無理だろうがな。だとほらこれでいいだろう。お前が俺のケツにへばりつくなら。
Gosh, dude, just start making out already. Get a room.
いいか、貴様らには異性生物のクソになるしか能がない。私が走れと言ったら絶対に走れ。走れないやつは戦場ではなくここで死ね。
You won't be able to chance to die on the battlefield. I'll kill you here.
驚かすなってのよ。もう。少しは黙って走らないの。いつみ、私少しペースを落として三浦に伴走するよ。そんなことしたら余計どやされるわよ。三浦のためにもやめた方が。
Oh, fetch! She fell down on purpose. Gosh, she can't be that stupid.
竹宮、受け身の練習しろって誰が言った？
Oh boy. YouTube, be kind, YouTube.
ああ、気持ちいい。いっちゃうかも。
Oh boy. Just kicking it right to 5th gear here.
あんた、本当に品がないね。いつもすみません。私のせいで皆さんに迷惑かけちゃって。
Hey, that's fine. It happens.
いいっていいって気にしなさんな。風呂は疲れた分だけ気持ちよくなるんだからさ。
Yeah.
でもご飯までの自由時間がなくなりますよ。
I'm pretty sure a bath is a freaking luxury. You know how many people would die for that on the front lines?
まあまあ
Oh, maybe that's
遅
the
くなっ
wrong
たお
word
か
to
げ
use.
でこうやって貸し切り状態で使えるんだしさ。でもお湯はその分汚れてますよ。
Oh, that's not great.
三浦、細かいことはいいんだよ。今そこにある幸せをかみしめれば。
それは人それぞれだと思うけど、まあ三浦も過ぎたことを気にするより次にどうするか考えればいいんじゃない？
はい。でも次は明日なわけで。
Yeah, that would get really tiring.
でもな、仮にその子が遅れないように走ったところで、うちの分隊には疫病神がいるからな。
そうね。ペラペラ喋って死神の気を引く旗迷惑な疫病神がいたわね。
Death and pestilence. Are there? So they name their different sergeants after the different forces of the apocalypse.
相変わらずあんたの目は節穴だね。あれは美と幸運の女神。疫病神は死神に目の敵にされてる方。あれ、分隊長、何怒ってるんですか？
A heck of a lucky break. This girl's an idiot. Talking to Fujisawa drains the last bit of energy I have left. She really is one of a kind. I finished my report early, so that I was able to join the squad here today. To be perfectly honest though, I can't say I particularly wanted to. Come on, Isumi. Nothing personal, I'm just more comfortable being by myself. Okay, never mind, I actually totally vibe with that. Everyone here knows my personal time is incredibly valuable. That's why most people don't want to spend part of it with others.
だいたいさ、毎日何なんだっての。ぶっ倒れるまで走るって。
Maybe they do it cause you whine.
まあね、ちょっと時代が勝ってるっていうか非科学的だよね。多分あれね、足腰強きゃ逃げ足も速くなるってことでしょ。自分が大陸で生き延びたありがたい戦訓を私たちに授けてくださってるってわけよ。
藤沢、それはただの噂話でしょ？
別にどうだっていいわよ、そんなの。
Yeah, a little bit. According to the rumors going around that how Jinguji survived this long by running away and deserting her comrades in arms, then again pretty much all the other cadets hate our dreadful instructor. It's very likely mere idle gossip. Oh yeah, it's like the opposite. You didn't run away. She actually went into a blind rage and just destroyed everything in front of her. Considering the survival of the Empire is at stake, there's no way a borderline deserter will be put in charge of training fresh recruits. I'm actually kind of upset that that's even like a rumor.
まあでも実際オーバーワークは逆効果なんだよね。下手すると筋肉壊すしさ。
むしろ精神鍛錬でしょ、目的は。終わりが見えない状態で限界まで追い込むんだから。
She's nailed it. She nailed it exactly. Boot camp isn't so much about your physical. Granted, they can take that as a bonus that you get physically stronger and have more endurance, but it teaches you, like I've said before, it teaches you that what you believe are your limits aren't actually your limits. You can go further than that, and it teaches you the mental resolve and discipline needed to push yourself.
出たよ精神論。最悪。軍隊は合理性と効率を旨とするんじゃないのかよ、クソババ。
Oh boy.
月子さん下品。
Yeah, do not put your face in that.
やばい、神宮寺のが映った。あいつみたいに絶対今季逃しちゃう。次はもっと上品に言わなきゃ。じゃあお通じおばあ様とか。そりゃいいよその子。気合い入れて走り遊ばせお通じの皆様なんてね。あんたが言うと上品に聞こえないわ。竹宮さん、また肘が痛むの？まあ古傷だし大丈夫だよ。さっきの転び方がまずかったのかな。
Aww.
すみません、私のために。転び方は私の責任だよ、三浦。ほら、 さすがに受け身取ったら見え見えでしょ。だから
Dang it. Clicked
何
early.
が悲しくてそんな小技ばっか上手くなんなきゃいけないのよ。他の訓練小隊はシミュレーターに専念してる時期にさ。一応基礎訓練は合格してるんですけどね。
Oh, yeah.
あんだけ走るの絶対あのお通じおばあ様の趣味だよ。あいつの前世絶対馬。体術や都市格闘訓練のカリキュラムも全然減らないよね。ま、私は楽しいからいいけど。中量級連覇の有名人はさすがですこと。そういやあんた富士京直伝だってはしゃいでたわよね。
See, there's times where like I feel like she was supposed to pause and say another line, but I don't know.
いつの話してんのよ。入学したての頃でしょ。
That face says otherwise, though.
でもそういうのすごく大事ですよ。戦術機の操縦は関節思考制御だから、体が覚えていることは機体反応も速くなりますから。あ、座学のプリンセス三浦あがり子の本領発揮か。やめてくださいよ。そのアニメみたいなあだ名。だいたいガリコって何ですか。
It's not like that's ever stopped her, Mira.
でもさガリコ、戦術機は主脚で長距離走らないよね、いくらなんでも。まあそうですけど、それは泉さんが言った精神的な。
三浦の言ってることは正しいわよ、藤沢。シミュレーターの近接格闘で竹宮が候補生最強なのは偶然じゃない。あんたみたいに小手先の技術や直感だけで機体を振り回すだけじゃダメなのよ。
Oh, jab.
あれもしかして私
Ah,
喧嘩売られてるのかな。
them fighting words.
うわ泉さん、月子さん。でもさ、藤沢の瞬発的な対応力はすごいよね。私も何度か負けてるし。ほーら見ろ分隊長殿、あんたの目はやっぱり節穴だね。
Fujisawa is really rubbing me the wrong way.
あんたのそういう長所は認めるけど、ムラがありすぎるのよ。軍では常に一定以上の能力を発揮することが求められるのよ。
おー、出た出た、分隊長殿の優等生発言。
藤沢、あんた確か除隊後は A 氏のキャリア生かして兵器メーカーに潜り込む算段だったわよね。
そう、軍なんて3年でおさらばよ。戦争のいいとこっつったら特需ぐらいでしょ。特需。防衛産業、しかも最先端の戦術機部門に食い込めれば美味しい汁吸えるからね。それで老後も安泰ってわけよ。
Dang. That's so interesting to like imagine somebody like just being able to go back, you know? Like I feel like they would hold on to him for a longer, like require longer than 3 years of mandatory service.
あんた、そういうとこほんと要領いいわよね。この先、徴兵基準もどんどん下がるはずだし、今のうちに志願しとけば、その分早く除隊できてライバルも少ないってわけ。すっごい！将来を考えてるんですね。
She might sound like she's had thought of everything, but Fujisawa's plan is one big flaw. She never once considered how to reduce the likelihood of being called on to the fight on the front lines. Is it that she doesn't think things through, or that she glossed over the possibility because she's resigned to her fate? Are most cadets like that? If they are, I wonder why they share the same mindset. Oh yeah, no, that's the bias of like, it won't be me. Like, it's the same problem we see a lot with things like the pandemic, or people who like choose not to wear their seatbelts in their cars or something. It's like we know, and we like a lot of people know and recognize that like if you're not careful and don't follow procedures, bad things can happen to you. But we also have this weird little voice in our brain that convinces us that, oh yeah, well, it will happen to other people, but I'll be fine. I'm, for some reason, an exception to this statistic because I'm me and I'm not as incompetent as all those other people. It's like we tend to just kind of put ourselves in this horrible situation where we just assume bad things won't happen to us because we're some kind of exception to the rule. Our country might be going to heck, but everyone acts as if the war will have no effect on our daily lives. They believe Japan will last forever. Naive fools, all of them. I can't begin to imagine how the country might look in 3 years. Why? Because I don't share one of their basic assumptions. They believe Japan has a future, and I don't. But to each her own. I can't force them to think like me.
だったらここから追い出されないようにしないとね。あんたの将来設計が台無しにならないように。
そうだよ藤沢。基礎訓練で半分いなくなってこの2週間ですでに5人中途殿下だからね。
Dang.
ったく藤教のエリートだか死神だか知らないけど何やめさせれば気が済むんだろうね。あのお通じ女は。私よくも来れたな。だからこそ自信持っていきなよ三浦。それでも残ってるんだからあんたは十分すごいんだよ。ねえいすみ。
そうね。
Yep, sure. That's not what you were gonna say. Don't get angry, don't get angry. She didn't mean anything bad. That's simply how she is, an airhead through and through. Always interrupting other people, always trying to be the center of attention.
英詞が足りないって言ってる割に最初から落としまくるってあいつ何考えてるんだっつうの。
I don't know, maybe because surface pilot like TSFs in general are expensive and putting people in them who aren't going to do anything but just get themselves killed is just terrible.
そうだね。
And that's Takamiya being sneaky. She steered the topic of conversation away from Fujisawa's complaints, and now we're back to square one. She did that without saying anything that could be interpreted as critical for Fujisawa's spoiled attitude. Rather, she affirmed it. Obviously, Takamiya, who rose to the top of our cutthroat world of competitive judo, doesn't actually agree with her. I'm not sure she acts like that deliberately, but I assume she doesn't want to be the bad guy. I have to admit, I see a lot of myself in her, actually. That's something I don't want to sound braggy, but it's like I know I've seen it in myself. I have a good way of kind of steering general conversation flow and kind of keeping it in a moderate direction. I was always a peacemaker, like somebody who kind of could steer problems away in conversations or avoid topics. I know my way around a general conversation. You know, maybe not a heated debate where you're actively trying to discuss like a topic that's kind of like, more of just like, I have a good sense for people, what they're thinking and how they might interpret things that you say. It's nice because it makes me fairly articulate. Like I certainly goof, stumble around, can't think of the right words occasionally, but most importantly, I don't find that I struggle to think of things to say. I'm adaptive about that, and it's something that really helps me and why I honestly think I can make this channel so well. Like, am I the best? Of course not. But I feel like I do a really good job, and part of it is because I think I know how to communicate my thoughts to you guys in a very clear and concise way, using analogies and real life experiences to kind of help illustrate where my thoughts are going, and you seem to respond to it, and so I'm glad that we have like kind of this like balanced like agreement that there's something that I'm doing right here, but I'm always open to criticism too. So like if you have anything you ever want to say or like concerns or just oddities to point out, I love reading those things in the comment section and in the Discord too. I'm usually paying attention to that as well. Anyway, I see a lot of myself in her. I can't remember her name now. But the one with the curl braid, she and I seem to be very similar personality-wise so far.
勝敗は始まる前に決まるのよ。4月の大量点火組はその第一歩でつまずいたってことでしょ。
Dang.
それってどういうことですか軍隊長さん。
I'm down.
もう月子さん。
あの連中は明らかに準備不足だった。つまり口だけってこと。
Oh
志願する
boy.
なら体ぐらい ある程度作ってこないとね。それに物理や科学だけじゃなく、軍や戦術、兵器の知識だって事前に学べたはずよ。図書館でも何でも使ってね。
It's a good point. Makes you wonder, like, are you and I utilizing the resources we have free access to readily? Like, are we? Because we probably aren't. There's people who would love to have what we have, you know, like being able to be within walking distance of a library. Yeah, how often do we go? Lately, obviously, a bit of an exception, but in general.
すごい。いすみさん、先やってたんですね。
別にそれが正しいとは思わない。私はそうすべきだと思ったから、やっただけよ。
So she's talking about like preparing and studying, by the way. Like, I guess I want to bring that up about guns. Like, I saw recently some pretty terrible like gun safety videos. I don't know how it came up, but like the rule number one is if you ever are shooting a firearm, I don't care if you're in a range or not, never point that gun anywhere at anything you wouldn't want to destroy, whether you have a clip in it or not, whether it's empty or not, because you never know. There are some pretty insane like mess ups that have happened completely unintentionally that could have maimed or killed people, or easily could have. Like, just, I don't know why I felt like to say that, but like, I couldn't help but think of this like reel of videos I'd watched it in the past week.
じゃあ聞くけどさ、基礎訓練終わってから落とされた子たちは何だったんだよ、分隊長さん。戦術機適正で跳ねられたんならともかく、過剰な長距離走や体術で弾かれるって評価規定外なんじゃないの？月子さん、こっちは人生かかってんだ。趣味に付き合わされて弾かれるんじゃたまんないんだよ。
I actually can see where Fujisawa is coming from. I don't agree with her, but I do understand, like, feeling like people are getting kicked out of the program for things that are unrelated to being a good surface pilot, in her opinion.
まあね。でもほら、そこは教官の決めたことで、いすみに当たっても仕方ないわけだし。
Takamiya, so Takamiya and I feel like personality-wise, so far, she and I think a lot of the same way. And it's funny because I'm pretty sure that of the girls I saw in the picture that we saw were flashed like initially, I'm pretty sure that the one that's annoying me the most was also the one I thought, wow, she's really cute.
まあ、そうだけどね。
Yeah, Fujisawa. I'm guessing that Fujisawa was the one I thought looked the cutest, but whatever.
それでもさ、いすみみたいに頭良きゃ弾かれても潰しが効くんだけどね。
So you do get it, Takamiya. How self-centered Fujisawa is acting right now. I also think she's just trying to calm you down by giving you a compliment.
そういえば聞いてなかったけど、いすみはどうして英士なんて志願したの？
Are you pretending you don't remember, Takamiya? It's not that you haven't asked, it's that I haven't answered.
全国模試の有名人。首席常連のあんたなら帝大だって楽勝だったでしょ？
別にそんなランキング私には関係ないわよ。
Dang, so she's super smart. Asumi's like way like blows me out of the water smart.
でもさ、そっちの道に進めば徴兵免除の医者だの研究者だの、それこそ役所勤めや政治の道だって選べたでしょ？
God, that would have been my only hope. I love science. I would love to have been able to be a scientist, but knowing my luck, I wouldn't have been able to test out of it. I probably would have been drafted and died within the first 8 seconds. Not even 8 minutes, 8 seconds.
ああ、わかりますね。いすみさん、政治家似合いそう。黒幕って感じがいかにもよね。
Yep, that was she's just relentless.
別に普通でしょ。今の状況で日本の役に立ちたいなんて理由。
さすが分隊長、動機も優等生だね。ベタすぎてつまんない。月子さん。
それに上の姉が内務省に行ったから、私は現場で貢献しようかなって思ったのよ。
そっか、お姉さん官僚なんだ。
私が志願していれば、下の妹のどちらかは徴兵対象から外れるだろうし。
That is a gift right there. Dang.
なるほどね。上2人が兵役免除だと下は確実に持っていかれるもんね。いすみって意外といいお姉ちゃんしてるじゃんねえ藤沢。妹たちはさぞ苦労してるんだろうけどね。もう月子さん。
She just will not stop.
そういえば三浦のとこも兄弟多かったよね。うん、うちは下が多いし、お父さんは病気でお母さんが一人で働いてるからお給料もらって勉強ができて。
Aww.
私に万が一のことがあっても恩給や遺族年金がある軍隊がいいかなって。
Dang, she's like, even if I die, it'll help provide for him. So that's what it's like being an older sibling.
こう見えても6人兄弟の長女なんですよ、カリコさんは。もうそれやめてよ。
I think you'll only make it worse if you act like that, Miura.
じゃあ妹や弟のためにも頑張らなきゃね。うん、私も泉さんや竹宮さんみたいに一度見ただけで何でもできるようになりたい。その子、なんでそこに私が入ってないのかな。
竹宮はともかく、私はそんなんじゃない。繰り返し反復して叩き込んでいるだけよ。
私だってそうだよ。そんな都合のいい人間いないからさ。だから三浦も大丈夫だよ。泉さん、竹宮さん。
Someone who could do anything after only seeing it once. I have an idea of what such a person would be like. I need to do things over and over to really understand, to make them stick. Yayoi didn't need so much more than a single explanation to become fully competent with the task at hand. Even if you asked her how she did it, she couldn't put it into words. Things just come to her naturally. She can do everything I can't, and anything I can do, she can do better. Oh boy.
何よ藤沢、その子、なんで私をそこに入れない。もっと私に憧れろよ。
Your broken brilliance.
だって私と月子さんは第16英士訓練小隊のお荷物。
Ow.
譲り合う落ちこぼれじゃないですか。
You and I are the baggage.
その子、自分で言ってて虚しくないのか。 だからこそ歴代成績トップを競う泉さんと竹宮さんの足を引っ張らないように努力しないと。悪いけどそんなの知ったこっちゃないっつうの。月子さん。でも藤沢、私はともかくさ、泉には協力しておいた方が得だよ。なんで？私は座学がからっきしだから無理だけど、泉は出世するだろうからあんたを引っ張り上げてくれるかもよ。
Oh, right to the soul. She's good. What an outrageous suggestion, and delivered with a straight face, no less. I respect her from the bottom of my heart. The subterfuge here is obvious to anyone paying attention. She's making it sound like she's talking about Fujisawa, but she's actually talking about what would benefit herself the most. Coming up with a misdirection like that on the spot, she has to be a genius. Either that or she has a remarkable survival instinct. As for me, I could never do it, not in a million years.
別に関係ないよ。私は誰にすがろうとも思っちゃいないからね。なんか努力のコツとかないんですか？よかったら教えてください。また虫か。やっぱり繰り返しだと思うよ。手順を体が覚えるからね。走るならそうね、手足の動きと呼吸のリズム、足の裏と指の使い方とか。なんかもうすでに挫折しそうです。とにかく反復だよ。体全体の筋連動を意識するだけでもだいぶ違うからやってみて。
Oh, so Takamiya can actually give sensible advice. Why did you learn that, I wonder? The judo club?
確かに 何も考えないでただ体を動かすのが一番ダメね。各部の関連付けができなくなる。
Oh,
柔道
sorry,
でも
interrupted her.
立ち技はセンス、寝技は練習量っていうんだ
Calm
よ。
down.
で実際私も寝技の方が勝率高いし。
Okay.
意外ですね。竹宮選手といえば一本背負いのイメージですけど。
テレビのニュースは派手な絵を欲しがるからね。よく目につく映像でイメージ固定されるのよ。
そうは言うけどさ、竹宮、あんた実際に何やらせても覚えること自体が早いじゃん。
How much longer is this bath scene gonna go?
そうかな。騙されんなその子。所詮こいつらには私たち落ちこぼれのことなんてわかんないんだ。
So she's actually aware of how far behind they are.
それはなんていうか慣れだよ慣れ。私昔から繰り返してるとコツをつかむのが早くなるんだって。へえ。はあ、すごい。私だって小さい頃は苦労したんだよ。一番上の兄ちゃんになかなか勝てなくてさ。結局勝ったんでしょ。勝ってるけどさ、それは頑張った成果であって。そうだから頑張ればなんとかなるんだって。つまりそうなるには何年もかかるってことよ。その子、あれが本音。
Ouch.
でも努力は始めなきゃその何年という期間はずっと縮まらないわけで。
What's the most important step a person can take? The next one.
お、三浦いいこと言った。始めなかったことを嘆くより今始める方がずっといいから。出たよ、竹宮の熱血ブレインマッスルが。またアニメみたいなあだ名つけて。いいじゃんそれ、熱血ブレインマッスル、かっこいいじゃん。
Work hard at it and you'll manage somehow. That's the kind of tunnel vision you acquire when you're used to being rewarded for your efforts. It would be quite an irresponsible piece of advice for someone who's not on that level. Takamiya probably wins so much. She must get tired of it. She might be the second genius I've met in my life. And that's not that I dislike her. She's a good person. I feel we're just simply not compatible.
ところで竹宮さんはどうして英師になろうと思ったんですか？え、私？まあそりゃあなんかシュッとしててかっこいいし、戦術機って人型だからなんか自分の技も活かせるかなって。
Takamiya, I agree. You and I are we're on a level here. She's just like, oh, I just thought it'd be kind of cool to run around a TSF.
まあ、あとはIsumiと同じだけど、なんていうかみんなのために何かしたいって思ってさ。やっぱり二人ともなんとなくしっかりしてますね。なんとなくしっかりってなんだよ。違う違う、そんなんじゃないって。多分あれよ、私地元が福岡だから。
That's why Takamiya fights. No wonder.
こっちにはスポーツ推薦で来てたんだけど、ほら九州は全島強制疎開が始まったでしょ。まあバラバラになっちゃう地元のみんなが全員一緒に福岡に戻るってのが今の大きな目標。そのために自分にできることをやるんだってね。
Dang.
仕方がないことなんだけど、法律で強制されるのはもう嫌だったしさ。だったら志願しようって決めたんだ。だから F 分隊が一人も欠けず全員で任官することが私の当面の目標かな。
People might think we're similar, but honestly speaking, Takamiya and I are completely different. Unlike me, Takamiya has experienced the consequences of this war firsthand. I wouldn't spare a second thought for other people from my hometown if I didn't know them personally. The difference between the way we think is in scope. I either pay attention to my immediate surroundings or to what happens on a countrywide scale. That's why I don't concern myself with pointless charity. Unlike Takamiya, I simply do not have it left in me. A humanitarian, a genius, and also an idealist. But me? I don't see the point. There's no way I could take in their pain or share in their suffering. And so, as I thought, I must become like her. I need to learn self-control, resilience, and I can't depend on anyone but myself if I want to achieve my goals.
そういえばあんたたちこの訓練校の噂知ってる？
Alright. It's a weird place to end it, but I really should end here. I'm worried if I go too much longer that we're gonna have nothing left, because I was told it was supposed to be about 2 hours, and we're already about halfway there. So we're gonna stop here, even though it's like the weird scene to be stopping in, and I'm sure I'm like 4 clicks away from the end of it all, but like I'm gonna stay here because we've like gotten to know all 3 of these lovely ladies. And now we're going to step back and come back to it next week. So thank you guys so much for being here today. Thank you so much for joining me on the channel. As always, it's a pleasure having you here. This has been a fun one, and a cute one, and a disturbing one. But it'll be fine nonetheless. I miss Captain Isumi. And man, I was getting the waterworks coming back again. It's like, it feels like it's been so long since I went through the Christmas invasion. But at the same time, it just feels so raw still, and just so... It just brought back all those emotions again. Not quite the same level, of course, but like, oh, it's just still so good. But yeah, thank you guys so much for being here today. I appreciate it. Again, if you haven't heard, I started Patreon. Patreon's going to give you access if you want to support the channel. It's going to be a hope to eventually build it to a point where I can start doing this full time. It's a long goal, long ways off. I don't know if it'll ever happen, but it's something I'm shooting for and want to reach for. And so combining like people who might be willing to support this hobby and continue to help support this content with the ad revenue I can pull from my videos, I hope to someday be able to dedicate enough time and to be able to get enough funding to really just make it so that I can take it off the ground without having to just dip into like my savings in order to do anything. Not that I mind. The channel will always be free, and I'm never going to restrict people at all. But if you do choose to support me, you'll get options to be able to help me choose some of the upcoming series I do, whether it be major series you see on Mondays and Wednesdays, but most specifically and most likely, you'll help me choose some of my Fan Friday favorites. They're the ones where I pick games that are smaller, you know, either by developers that are starting out for the first time or publishing new games for the first time, or for older games that just happen to have just been translated recently that just haven't had the limelight. It gives us an opportunity to find some real gems like Seabed, which was one of my favorite games I've played on my channel, period. And it was one I found because I was looking at smaller games to play and ones that just weren't as well known. So yeah, if you would, I highly encourage you to check out my Discord if you just want to be up to date on all the stuff on the channel. Look at my Patreon, there's links in the description down below, and also on Discord if you would like to check out those tiers and see if there's anything worthwhile there for you. But again, like, I'm not trying to offer a bunch of exclusive content. It's mostly just us working towards the goal of eventually making this channel bigger, better, and more sustainable, because I love to get to the point where I could sink so much time into my day, like 40 hours a week. Imagine the amount of content and the better, the higher tier of content I could make if I could actually set aside that time and see this as a job, not just as a hobby. But anyway, sorry about all that. I'm going to be mentioning it. And thank you so much for those of you who have considered and who are supporting me. Thank you. I still need to actually find out what names they want me to call out, because I'm new to this all, so I apologize. But you know who you are out there. Thank you so much. And until the next video you're watching me, I hope to see me next. I'll see you there.